Chosen one, before you scroll, before you question why this found you at this exact moment, pause for a second and breathe. Because messages like this don't appear by accident. Not now. Not after everything you've survived. Not after the nights you stayed awake wondering if anyone truly saw the weight you were carrying. And not after the quiet strength you showed when walking away would have been easier than staying. Chosen one. You were never meant to blend in, and that's why your path has always felt heavier, lonelier, and more demanding than others. While people around you seemed to move forward effortlessly, you were being shaped in silence, molded in moments that never made it to social media, trained in emotional endurance, spiritual discernment, and in a discipline that no applause could ever reward. You may not realize this yet, but the very things that once made you feel overlooked are now the foundation of your rise. Every delay had purpose. Every closed door carried protection. Every season where you felt invisible was actually preparation. God was never ignoring you. He was positioning you. And here's the truth, most people won't tell you not everyone is built to carry what you're about to receive. That's why you had to be refined first. Chosen one. You didn't lose your softness, even when life tried to harden you. You didn't lose your integrity, even when compromise would have made things easier. You didn't lose your faith, even when answers didn't come on time, and that alone separates you. There is a kind of strength that only forms when someone chooses to remain real in a world that rewards performance. You carry that strength now. There were moments you questioned yourself. Moments you wondered if being kind was a mistake, if being patient was costing you too much, if staying honest in dishonest spaces was slowly draining you. But what you didn't see was how heaven was recording every choice you made when no one was watching. Not to test you, but to trust you. Because what is coming into your life requires someone who won't misuse it, abuse it, or lose themselves once the pressure lifts. Chosen one. The season you're entering is different. You can feel it even if you can't explain it. Things that once drained you no longer have the same power. Conversations that used to confuse you now feel clear. You're no longer chasing validation because you've learned what peace feels like. And once peace becomes familiar, chaos loses its attraction. This shift didn't happen overnight. It was built through countless internal battles you never spoke about, through restraint when reaction would have felt justified, through faith when logic had no explanation, through surrender without giving up. And now, life is responding. You may notice opportunities appearing without force. You may feel people treating you differently, not because you changed your personality, but because your presence carries weight now. Energy responds to alignment, and you are aligned. Chosen one. Don't be surprised if people from your past suddenly reappear. Not because they belong in your future, but because your growth reminds them of what they ignored. Don't feel guilty for outgrowing spaces that required you to shrink. Expansion always makes the old rooms feel uncomfortable. There was a time when you begged life to be gentle with you. Now life is asking if you're ready to receive without resistance. And yes, receiving can feel unfamiliar when you're used to surviving. Ease can feel suspicious when struggle was your normal. But you don't have to fight this anymore. You've already proven your strength. What's unfolding now isn't luck. It's response. Response to your endurance. Response to your integrity. Response to your refusal to become bitter. You didn't just make it through, you emerged aware. Chosen one. You were never meant to merely survive. You were meant to lead by example. To show that someone can walk through fire and still choose love. That someone can lose deeply and still remain open. That someone can be wounded and still heal without turning cold. And this is only the beginning. As you keep listening, something inside you is recognizing itself, not because these words are flattering, but because they are familiar in a way that logic cannot explain. Truth has a sound, and when it reaches the right spirit, it doesn't argue. It settles. Amen. 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 You've lived long enough carrying a quiet awareness that your life was never meant to be ordinary, even during the seasons when everything around you felt painfully small. You learned early how to read rooms, how to sense energy before words were spoken, how to stay alert even when pretending to be calm. That wasn't anxiety. That was discernment forming before you had language for it. Chosen one, the pressure you felt growing up, the feeling that you had to mature faster than others, that you couldn't afford the same mistakes. That responsibility somehow found you even when you didn't ask for it. That was not punishment. That was training. You were being taught how to carry weight without collapsing under it. And yes, it made you tired. Yes, it made you question why life felt harder for you than for people who seemed careless yet comfortable. But comfort was never your assignment. Clarity was. There were seasons when you felt emotionally homeless, surrounded by people yet deeply unseen. You showed up for others while quietly hoping someone would notice when you were the one running low. And when no one did, you didn't turn cruel. You didn't become sharp or bitter. You became deeper. You learned how to refill yourself from a source most people never discover. That is why you can sit in silence without panic. That is why you don't need constant noise to feel alive. That is why your presence alone can calm a room without effort. Chosen one, you are not here by chance, and you did not make it this far by accident. Every moment where you chose not to react, not to retaliate, not to explain yourself, not to lower your standards just to keep someone close, was shaping your nervous system for the life you are about to live. You were learning how to remain grounded while everything around you shifted. You were learning how to trust your inner knowing even when external validation was absent. There was a version of you that wanted to be chosen by people who could never meet you at your depth. And when those connections fell apart, it hurt more than you admitted. Not because you lost them, but because you had to confront the truth that you were trying to make yourself smaller to keep access to places you had already outgrown. That realization was painful, but it was also liberating. Because once you stop chasing what drains you, you create space for what strengthens you. Chosen one, you are stepping into a phase where your intuition speaks faster than your fear. You no longer second-guess the signals your body gives you. When something feels off, you listen. When something feels aligned, you move. This didn't come from books or advice. It came from lived experience, from trusting yourself, even when being misunderstood was the cost. You might notice now that you no longer feel the need to convince anyone of your worth. You don't overshare. You don't over-explain. You don't chase clarity from people who benefit from keeping you confused. This is not detachment. This is maturity. You learn the difference between connection and attachment, between loyalty and self-betrayal, between patience and stagnation. Chosen one, life is beginning to respond differently to you because you are responding differently to yourself. You stopped abandoning your needs just to keep the peace. You stopped pouring into places that never poured back. You stopped calling survival love. And the moment you did, something subtle but powerful shifted. Your energy became cleaner. Your choices became sharper. Your boundaries became quieter but stronger. There will be people who don't recognize you anymore. Not because you changed into someone else, but because you stopped being who they could control. Let them be confused. You don't owe familiarity to anyone who only knew the version of you that was still learning how to protect their spirit. Growth always disrupts old narratives. Chosen one, the calm you're developing is not passive. It's earned. It came from nights you cried in private and showed up anyway. From moments you wanted to quit but didn't. From trusting that walking away from what hurt was not weakness. even when others called it giving up. You didn't give up. You leveled up internally. And now, you are entering a season where you will be asked to receive without apology, support without suspicion, peace without preparing for disaster. This may feel unfamiliar at first. You may catch yourself waiting for the other shoe to drop. That's okay. Healing doesn't erase memory overnight, but you are safe to experience goodness without bracing for loss. Chosen one, what is aligning with you now will meet you in honesty, not confusion, in consistency, not chaos, in mutual respect, not one-sided effort. You will no longer have to prove your value through exhaustion. The right environments will recognize you without interrogation. This is not the end of your story. This is the point where it finally starts to feel like yours. And as you continue forward, remember this: you were never late. You were never behind. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared in ways that could not be rushed. Your clarity is your power now. Your presence is your signal. Your peace is your confirmation. And there is still more unfolding. There is a reason your spirit has felt both heavy and expectant at the same time, as if something old was closing while something unnamed was preparing to open. You've been standing in that in-between space longer than most, the place where the past no longer fits but the future hasn't fully revealed itself yet. That space can feel uncomfortable, even lonely, but it is sacred. It's where identity settles. It's where noise falls away and only truth remains. You've noticed how certain desires faded without effort, how attachments loosened on their own, how things you once chased no longer excite you. That wasn't loss. That was alignment. When your inner world changes, your outer cravings follow. You're not becoming less passionate. You're becoming more precise. Your energy is no longer scattered across every open door. It's collecting itself, preparing to move with intention. Chosen one, there were lessons you had to learn alone because no one around you could teach them without projecting their own fears onto your path. You had to learn the difference between intuition and impulse, between patience and avoidance, between faith and denial. And you learned by living it, by making choices, by sitting with consequences, by listening when silence spoke louder than advice ever could. There were moments when you felt misunderstood even by people who loved you, not because they didn't care, but because they couldn't see what you were seeing yet. Vision always isolates before it integrates. That isolation sharpened your clarity. It taught you how to self-regulate, how to ground yourself when emotions rose, how to stay present without numbing or escaping. These are not small skills. These are the traits of someone built to lead themselves before leading anything else. Chosen one, you are beginning to realize that your sensitivity was never a weakness. It was perception. You feel deeply because you see deeply. You notice what others overlook. You pick up on subtle shifts in tone, intention, and energy. That awareness once exhausted you because you hadn't learned how to protect it. Now, it empowers you. You no longer absorb everything. You observe. You might find yourself speaking less but meaning more, listening without losing yourself, showing up fully without overextending. Through giving too much, through staying too long, through learning where your responsibility ends and someone else's begins. Chosen one, there is a quiet confidence forming in you now. Not the kind that announces itself, but the kind that doesn't need reassurance. You trust your timing. You trust your instincts. You trust that what is meant for you will not require you to betray yourself to obtain it. That trust is changing how life meets you. You will notice that challenges no longer feel like threats to your identity. They feel like information. You don't take everything personally anymore. You don't internalize rejection as failure. You understand now that redirection is often protection in disguise. This shift alone will save you years of unnecessary struggle. Chosen one. Some people will feel your change before they understand it. They may sense your distance and mistake it for indifference. It's not indifference. It's discernment. You are learning where to place your energy so it can actually grow something instead of just maintaining damage. You are no longer afraid of being alone, and that's powerful. Loneliness once felt like abandonment. Now it feels like space. Space to think clearly. Space to hear yourself. Space to build something real without interference. From this space, your decisions carry weight because they come from alignment, not urgency. Chosen one. You are becoming someone who can sit with discomfort without panicking, with uncertainty without rushing, with possibility without clinging. This emotional stability is rare. It's what allows expansion without collapse. It's what allows success without self-destruction. And here's the part most people don't see. You didn't become this way by hardening your heart. You became this way by softening in the right direction, by choosing compassion without self-sacrifice, by offering understanding without losing boundaries, by loving without disappearing. Life is responding to this version of you. Doors are opening not because you forced them, but because you're finally aligned with what's behind them. Conversations are changing, opportunities feel cleaner, relationships feel more mutual. This is not luck. This is resonance. Chosen one, you are stepping into a phase where your presence does more than your effort ever did, where who you are speaks louder than what you prove, where your calm creates safety for others without draining you. And this is still unfolding. You are not done becoming. You are just done becoming through pain. There comes a moment when you realize that the version of you who survived no longer needs to be in control, because a wiser, calmer, more grounded version has quietly taken the lead. You didn't announce this shift. You didn't even fully notice it at first. It revealed itself in how you respond now, in how you pause instead of react, in how you choose clarity over chaos without forcing yourself to be strong. Strength has stopped feeling like tension. It feels like steadiness. You no longer rush to fill silence. You no longer chase explanations from people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You no longer feel responsible for fixing emotions that are not yours to carry. This is not coldness. This is self-respect settling into your nervous system. You learned that peace is not something you find outside of yourself. It's something you protect. Chosen one. There was a time when you equated effort with love, when you believed that if you just tried harder, stayed longer, gave more, things would eventually balance out. But life taught you otherwise. It showed you that real alignment doesn't drain you. Real connection doesn't require self-erasure. Real purpose doesn't come with constant inner conflict. Those lessons were costly, but they were necessary. Now, you move differently. You listen to your body. You trust your discomfort. You no longer override your intuition just to keep things familiar. Familiarity once felt safe. Now truth does. That alone marks a profound evolution. Chosen one, your presence has become more intentional. You don't enter spaces just to be accepted. You enter only where you can remain authentic. This means some doors will stay closed, and that's okay. Closed doors no longer trigger panic in you. You understand that not every opportunity is aligned, and not every invitation is meant for your growth. You may notice that your circle is smaller, but it's cleaner. Conversations feel deeper. Connections feel less performative. You no longer entertain dynamics that thrive on confusion or emotional imbalance. You are no longer available for chaos dressed as excitement. Your nervous system knows the difference now. Chosen one, the clarity you carry is not loud, but it's undeniable. People feel it when you walk into a room. They may not know what's different about you, but they sense it. It's the energy of someone who has made peace with their past without being defined by it. Someone who has integrated their lessons instead of reliving their wounds. There will be moments when life tests this new version of you, not to break you, but to confirm what you've learned. Old patterns may try to resurface. Old voices may try to pull you back into roles you've outgrown. When that happens, you won't need to fight. You'll simply choose differently, and that choice will be enough. Chosen one, you are entering a phase where you no longer seek permission to exist as you are. You don't need consensus to trust yourself. You don't need external validation to move forward. Your internal alignment has become your authority. This doesn't mean you've stopped caring. It means you've stopped bleeding. You can offer empathy without absorbing pain. You can love without losing center. You can support without sacrificing yourself. This balance is rare, and it's what allows you to build something sustainable. Life is beginning to reflect your inner stability. Challenges feel manageable. Uncertainty feels less threatening. You are learning to meet the unknown with curiosity instead of fear. This shift opens doors that force never could. Chosen one, the path ahead feels lighter, not because it will be effortless, but because you are no longer carrying what was never yours to hold. You released expectations that were placed on you by people who didn't understand your depth. You let go of timelines that weren't aligned with your rhythm. You stopped measuring your worth through external outcomes, and in doing so, you reclaimed your power. You are no longer in a season of proving. You are in a season of being present, being honest, being grounded, being true to what your spirit needs to stay whole. This is not the peak, this is the foundation, and from this foundation, everything you build will last.